you guys doing?
Fine, and you?
Good. I guess we're waiting for my on-screen wife.
He's waiting for what, he said?
His on-screen.
Oh.
It's not his real wife, it's on-screen. I'm gonna go ahead and put this up.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. What the hell did he say?
So, really,
Hello.
Okay, you can raise your own movie, okay.
sorry, is this weird? I'm gonna put you guys on.
Not after the movie yesterday. Now we are used to
Right,
you
right,
filming
right.
us.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
Let's go ahead and begin the press conference with the first question from Vanessa.
Well, I want to know. I was yesterday in the Q&A, and I hear these amazing stories about being in the car with cops. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, I mean, we spent, like, we wanted, because we knew that it was like a found footage kind of a movie, and it was written kind of mainly like a relationship kind of, you know, delved into the different kind of relationships, you know, this guy with his partner, him and his wife, and, you know, him formulating one with his girlfriend and wife-to-be. We wanted it to be as real as possible, like what it's really like to be like a police officer and how they spend time, you know? And so we did so many ride-alongs. At first it was like, wow, this is exciting. Then I was like, okay, enough of this. And then it actually got to be really interesting because you got to be in the head of you know, the police officer and think the way they think. And it's scary, like, for an actor to be like, finally like, wow, I feel like a cop, you know? And then remind yourself, you're like, oh, you're an actor. So it took a little bit of time to shake it off, but it was an eye-opener, you know, to see people that actually care about the neighborhood, you know, care about the culture, and then actually want to protect those people that like actually want to do good in their lives, and then, you know, have total and full confront to be able to, you know, fight those criminals, or like, you know, make sure that they're not hurting the honest business owner, and to try to, you know, make their neighborhood that they're assigned to like a better place.
Who was tougher, the cartel representatives in this or the aliens in Battle Los Angeles?
Well, I'm going to say the aliens,
Okay.
because they did total destruction of you know, a city.
Yeah.
And here they're like slowly disjointed from the inside. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny, but there's you know, that and you know, in tandem with like the, you know, the gangsters and the criminals and the, like, you know, South Central is it's kind of scary, like, you know, doing the ride-alongs and seeing these guys, you know, like when somebody pulls a gun, you know, like that's a stolen gun with the serial number kind of, you know, scratched off. It's kind of scary, you know, and it's not always a typical person that has that you think you're like, oh, this guy's dirty. That's what's so surprising, you know.
So beyond the ride-alongs, did you do any more police training? Like, did they?
Yeah, we did. I did police training with my wife. It was interesting because it's like, it's how do you, like, I guess your relationship changes also, like, depending on the you know, your whatever you do in life, you know, like sometimes you're gone a lot, you know, like, and you know, with a cop, you know, you got to make sure that your wife is okay and that you're, you know, offer the same kind of support, but at the same time you try to throw away everything that happened during the day. And I asked those guys a lot of questions, you know, about, you know, how it is, you know, and try to really get into the psyche. I mean, because I think this is what this movie's mainly about, you know. There is like action sequences, and some people would say it's like an action movie, but for me it was like a kind of like, you know, the movies that I love, like Kana, you know, where it really focuses on the relationships. And I asked, you know, then we did weapons training, we did sparring, you know, and it really gets you in the mindset when you punch somebody in the face and they're punching you back.
Or when you go and crash a police officer car.
I mean, we don't have to talk about that.
This question is for the both of you. When I was watching the movie, I became very emotional. So how emotionally invested did you become while filming this movie?
I mean, for me, I mean, a lot of things kind of hit close to home when, you know, I don't, without giving so much away, you know, but some things hit kind of close to home, you know, and just having to, like, have it's kind of scary when you live a life that you don't know when your partner's going to actually come back home or not, you know? And I think that's really hard for a cop's wife. It's kind of, you know, these men put themselves on the line all the time just to protect our city and protect, you know, our fellow, you know, citizens and stuff. And I think that's probably one of the hardest parts. And also after watching the movie, you know, you're reading it like that, but the visuals this movie has, I mean, after I saw it, I was emotional too. It's funny, like I read the script a couple times, you know, and I knew the movies. I was there for some shootings, and it really something struck inside of me when I saw some of the scenes that I wasn't a part of, but that they went through, and that was kind of shocking. And the fact of knowing that half these stories are like pretty much true. They come from, you know, real cops, and these are real true stories. So it's kind of freaky things that really go on in a normally looking neighborhood, you know, and what goes on behind doors is kind of crazy. And you know, my vision has kind of changed towards cops just because of what they do on a day basis, you know, and families of, because I mean, everybody kind of goes through it when something happens, you know, it affects everybody, it affects the community, it affects your partner, it affects everybody.
There was a lot of humor in this film, more so
Yeah.
than, somebody said that last night, more so than expected. Do you think, like, riding along with these cops, that's kind of like a defense mechanism for them because they have to see so many, like, horrific things?
I think it's just dudes being dudes. You know, seriously, I think, you know, I don't think they think about it that much. I'm like, if you think about it, you're constantly like your head on a swivel, you know, you're looking for danger, but at the same time, you're with somebody, and sometimes it can be boring, you know what I mean? And there's like, you kind of want it to be boring, in all honesty. You kind of want it to be nice and quiet in the streets, and you want it to know that your presence is being, you know, that people are aware of your presence. But, you know, what are you going to do? They work for like 12 hours or something, you know? They work for a long time. So when when we're doing movies, we like joke around all the time. And that's the one thing that me and Jake were surprised at as well. Like the real cops actually joke around a lot, you know? So we're like, yeah, we should definitely do it in this movie, you know? Like, you know, when I initially read it, I was like, I didn't see that much humor, but it was like, if you kind of attack it like two brothers going at it, I think there'll be a lot of humor, and there'll be a lot of room for humor. And also just looking at the movie as a whole, it would be kind of cool to have like action, funny, without it being like an action comedy, but like humor, I guess you could say, and then touching, and then, you know, some good family time, and just make it a well-rounded picture.
Did you guys ad-lib a lot, or was that script just really locked in?
I mean, we didn't ad-lib very much. I'm like, usually we'd have like, you know, like say we had 8 takes, one of them, he says, okay, do whatever you want. And 9 times out of 10, the writing was so good that you didn't have to do it. But we wanted to make it, because of the found footage, we wanted to make it as real as possible and make it look like improv, which is harder than it looks, you know what I mean? Like, it seems really easy, but that's when you really gotta, this is like actory, but like when you have to really understand like the subtleties of like your motivation and objective that you want in the scenes, and like why is this scene in the movie, and it's a lot of work, and sometimes we rehearsed something like 100 times. There was one scene that we literally rehearsed 100 times because we just couldn't get it, and finally we're like, oh, I found something, oh, we found something, boom, and then it was ready to be shot.